The cheapest thing in your home can become one of the most expensive things you own, not because it costs a lot, because you keep buying it again. A cheap plastic bag, another kitchen gadget, another lunch container, another cloth. Another tool that breaks, gets forgotten, or is replaced because something newer appears. $5 disappears. Then $5 disappears again and again, but walk through many Japanese homes and you may notice a completely different idea. Some of the most useful objects are not expensive at all. A square piece of cloth, a simple pair of chopsticks, one small bowl, a lunchbox, a metal grater, a ceramic grinding bowl, even a folding fan. None of these objects looks impressive. That is exactly what makes them interesting. Because the real Japanese lesson is not always about buying expensive things that last forever. It is often about choosing simple things that do one job well, or several jobs surprisingly well, and then continuing to use them until buying another one feels unnecessary. That changes the meaning of cheap. Cheap no longer means disposable. Cheap means low cost, high usefulness, and a very long relationship with the same object. And once you understand that, you begin to see why a calmer home can also become a cheaper home. Today, we are looking at 9 inexpensive things connected with everyday Japanese life that can be used again and again for years, and the 7 deeper lessons hiding behind them. Some may look almost too simple to matter, but by the end, you may realize that the things saving you the most money are often the things you stop shopping for. Lesson 1. One simple cloth should do more than one job. Let us begin with something so ordinary that most people would walk past it, a piece of cloth. In Japan, 2 traditional examples show how powerful a simple object can become, the tenugui and the furoshiki. That gives us our first 2 items. A tenugui is a light cotton cloth. It can be used for wiping your hands, drying sweat, wrapping small objects, covering something, cleaning a surface, or simply carrying with you during hot weather. Nothing electronic, nothing complicated, nothing with 10 different parts that can break, just cloth. And because it is washable, you use it again, then again, then again. Now compare that with the modern habit of buying a different disposable product for every tiny problem. Paper towels for this, tissues for that, disposable wipes for something else, special wrapping for another thing. A simple cloth does not look exciting when you buy it, but every time you reuse it, its real value increases. This is an important idea. Do not measure value by the moment you purchase something. Measure value by the number of times it serves you afterward. Then there is the furoshiki. A furoshiki is a square wrapping cloth, traditionally used in Japan to wrap and carry objects. And this is where simplicity becomes clever. The same flat piece of fabric can wrap a lunchbox, carry groceries, hold clothes, wrap a gift, protect something inside a bag, carry oddly shaped objects. And when you are finished, you do not need another drawer, shelf, hook, or storage box for it. You simply fold it. Suddenly, an object that looked like almost nothing becomes a bag, wrapping paper, organizer, protector, and carrying tool. Think about how different that is from the way many products are designed today. Modern products often tell you need a separate thing for every situation. The furoshiki quietly says, maybe you don't. That difference matters, because every specialized object you own requires money, space, cleaning, organizing, and eventually replacement. The Japanese idea hidden inside these cloths is not own nothing. It is better than that. Own things that earn their space. If something enters your home, ask, how many problems can this solve? How often can I reuse it? How easy is it to wash? How easy is it to store? Will I still know what to do with it 5 years from now? A simple object with 5 uses can sometimes be more valuable than 5 clever products with 1 use each. And this is the first secret behind spending less without feeling deprived. You are not removing usefulness from your life, you are concentrating usefulness into fewer things. The tenugui and furoshiki may be inexpensive, but their real value comes from the moment you stop needing to buy what they replace. Lesson 2. Make small, everyday objects personal. The 3rd and 4th inexpensive items are almost ridiculously small. Reusable chopsticks and a chopstick rest, but they reveal something important about ownership. In many Japanese homes, family members traditionally have their own reusable chopsticks, not a new pair every few days, not something used once and immediately thrown away. Your pair. You recognize it, you wash it, you put it back, you use it tomorrow. When an object becomes personal, something changes. You begin treating it differently. This is one reason personalization can reduce waste. Think about a random disposable cup. You probably feel no attachment to it. You finish your drink and throw it away. But think about your favorite mug. Maybe it was inexpensive. Maybe it has a tiny scratch. Maybe the design is not fashionable anymore, but it is yours. You automatically reach for it. You know how it feels in your hand. Replacing it does not even enter your mind. The same principle can happen with everyday eating tools. A pair of reusable chopsticks may cost very little compared with all the things people casually spend money on, yet you might use them hundreds or thousands of times. And next to those chopsticks, you may see one of the smallest useful objects on a Japanese table, the hashioki, or chopstick rest. It may be a tiny piece of ceramic, almost nothing, but it has a clear job. It keeps the tips of the chopsticks raised from the table. There is something beautiful about this. The solution is not large. It does not require technology. It does not create more work. A tiny object solves a tiny problem. And because ceramic chopstick rests can be washed and used repeatedly, there is little reason to keep replacing them. This points to a different kind of frugality. People often think saving money requires dramatic sacrifices. Cancel everything. Never enjoy anything. Buy the absolute cheapest version of every product. But much of spending happens through tiny repeated decisions. What if you changed those instead? What if you owned one reliable water bottle instead of constantly buying bottled drinks? One lunchbox instead of disposable containers? One shopping bag instead of collecting new bags? One good pen instead of 10 bad ones disappearing around your house? One personal eating set at work instead of repeatedly using disposable utensils? The amount saved on one day might look small. That is why people ignore it. But repeated costs have a strange power. They hide inside normal life. You rarely remember every $2 purchase, but your bank account remembers all of them. Japanese everyday culture gives us a useful lesson here. When a small object becomes part of your routine, keep it in the routine. Do not keep reopening the shopping decision. Buy, use, wash, return, repeat. That rhythm is cheaper than constantly asking, should I get another one? Lesson 3. Let ordinary things become your things. The fifth item is a simple rice bowl. This may sound almost too ordinary to include, but that is precisely the point. In Japanese table culture, it has long been common for family members to use their own individual rice bowls. And when you think about it, that creates a very different relationship with an everyday object. Imagine using the same bowl for years. Breakfast, dinner, quiet meals, busy mornings, cold winter evenings. A bowl does not need to become useless because a new design appears online. It does not need an upgrade. It does not need software. It does not need accessories. If it still holds your food and you still enjoy using it, its job is not finished. Japanese ceramics are especially interesting because imperfection does not always make an object less beautiful. A little irregularity can give a piece character. This is almost the opposite of modern shopping culture. Modern shopping teaches us to notice what is new. A slower lifestyle teaches us to notice what is familiar. That sounds like a small difference. It is not. Because one system makes you look at what you already own and think, I've had this for too long. The other lets you look at the same object and think, I've had this for a long time. Same fact, completely different feeling. One creates dissatisfaction, the other creates attachment. This is where cheap objects can become surprisingly valuable. A simple bowl may cost less than one restaurant meal, but if you use it for 5 or 10 years, the price becomes almost meaningless. The bowl becomes part of the architecture of daily life. And there is another benefit. When you really like the objects you already use every day, you become harder to sell unnecessary replacements to. That is a powerful form of financial protection. Advertising depends on making the familiar feel insufficient. Your phone is old, your kitchen is outdated, your furniture is boring, your cup is not aesthetic enough, your storage containers do not match. But when you deliberately build familiarity with what you own, newness loses some of its power. Try this with your own home. Choose a few ordinary objects, your favorite plate, your teacup, your cooking spoon, your towel, your pen. Use them intentionally. Take care of them. Let them become yours. You do not need to romanticize every possession, but you also do not need to live as if every ordinary thing is waiting to be replaced. Sometimes the cheapest lifestyle upgrade is becoming satisfied with the good object already sitting in your cupboard. Lesson 4. Buy the box once, then stop buying the convenience. Our sixth item may be one of the most recognizable objects in Japanese daily life, the bento box. A lunchbox is not revolutionary, but what happens around that lunchbox can be. Think about the expensive pattern many people fall into. You wake up late. You leave home without food. At lunch, you buy something. Maybe it is only $8, maybe 12, maybe more. Tomorrow, you do the same thing. Then again, you hardly notice each individual purchase because lunch feels necessary. But food convenience is expensive precisely because it feels necessary. Now place one simple reusable box in the middle of that routine. Suddenly, last night's rice can become tomorrow's lunch. A small amount of vegetables can come with you. Leftovers are no longer forgotten at the back of the refrigerator. You can divide small portions instead of buying a completely new meal. The box itself might be cheap, but the behavior it creates can save far more than the box ever cost. This is a deeper rule. The best cheap products do not only save money when you buy them, they change expensive behavior afterward. A reusable bento box can do exactly that. And Japanese bento culture also teaches another clever lesson about limitation. A bento box has edges. Your food must fit inside. That sounds restrictive, but limits are useful. When the container is small, you naturally begin thinking in portions. A little rice here, vegetables there, protein beside it, fruit in the remaining space. You work with what fits. Compare this with eating directly from several large packages at home. Without boundaries, it is harder to see how much you are using. Containers create visible limits, and visible limits help reduce excess. This principle goes far beyond lunch. A fixed drawer can limit your stationery. A small shelf can limit your skincare products. One basket can limit bathroom supplies. A wallet category can limit entertainment spending. Sometimes the answer to excess is not more discipline. It is a physical boundary. That is what the humble lunchbox provides. It says, "This is enough space." And when you become comfortable with enough, many expenses begin shrinking automatically. The box also makes home food portable. That word portable is important. People often pay for convenience because their existing resources are stuck at home. You have coffee at home, but not with you. You have water at home, but not with you. You have food at home, but not with you, so you buy another version while outside. Japanese everyday tools often solve this by making ordinary home resources easy to carry. A reusable bottle, a cloth wrap, a bento box, portable chopsticks. The lesson is not simply pack your lunch. The larger lesson is make what you already own easier to use outside your home. Every time you do that, you reduce the moments when convenience can charge you a premium. Lesson 5. Simple tools can outlive smarter tools. The 7th and 8th items are found in Japanese cooking culture. The first is an oroshigane, a simple Japanese grater. The second is a suribachi, a ridged ceramic grinding bowl used with a wooden pestle. Look at what these tools do not have. No battery, no charger, no motor, no digital display, no app, no subscription, no instruction manual you lose after 3 days. They simply do their jobs. A metal grater grates. A ceramic grinding bowl grinds. That simplicity is more powerful than it looks. Because every additional feature in a product creates another possible reason for it to fail. A basic tool can often survive changes in technology because it was never dependent on technology in the first place. There is a strange problem in modern life. We sometimes replace a 2-minute physical task with a machine that takes 10 minutes to assemble, clean, dry, and store. We call that convenience. But is it? If you need to grate a little ginger, daikon, garlic, or citrus peel, a simple handheld tool can be ready immediately. Use it, wash it, put it away, done. The suribachi follows the same logic. Its rough interior helps crush and grind ingredients with a pestle. You control the texture with your own hand, nothing complicated. And if cared for properly, a ceramic bowl does not become outdated because a new model appears next year. That brings us to a useful buying question. Can this product become obsolete even if it still works? That question matters more today than ever. Some objects can remain physically perfect but psychologically old. A device works, but a newer version appears. A feature changes. A battery weakens. An app stops supporting it. A proprietary part disappears. Suddenly something you purchased for convenience becomes another object waiting for replacement. Simple manual tools avoid much of that cycle. A knife is still a knife. A bowl is still a bowl. A grater is still a grater. And here is the part people often misunderstand. Buying fewer gadgets does not mean rejecting technology. Technology is wonderful when it truly removes effort. The problem begins when we use complexity to solve problems that simplicity already solved well. Before buying a new kitchen gadget, ask yourself 3 questions. Will I use this every week? Will it save more time than it takes to clean and store? Do I already own a basic tool that can do almost the same thing? That final question can save a surprising amount of money because the cheapest item is often not the discounted gadget, it is the tool already in your drawer. This is one reason Japanese kitchen culture can be so fascinating. There are highly specialized professional tools, of course, but there are also incredibly simple, everyday objects whose designs have remained useful because the basic human task has not changed. Food still needs cutting, grinding, grating, serving, carrying, eating. When the problem is simple, the solution does not always need to become smarter. Sometimes it only needs to become dependable. Lesson 6. Comfort does not always need power. Our ninth inexpensive item is the sensu, the Japanese folding fan. Open it and you have a fan. Close it and it becomes thin enough to slip into a bag. Again, notice the pattern. Simple, portable, reusable, compact. A folding fan obviously cannot replace air conditioning during severe heat. That is not the point. The interesting idea is that not every moment of discomfort requires the largest possible solution. Sometimes you are sitting on a train platform, walking slowly outside, waiting somewhere, sitting under shade, and you only want a little moving air. A folding fan creates that without electricity, charging, batteries, or noise. Then it folds away. That small design teaches a larger financial lesson. Match the size of the solution to the size of the problem. We often overspend because we solve minor inconveniences with major purchases. The room feels slightly dark. Buy another lamp. The desk feels slightly messy. Buy an organizer. You are occasionally bored while cooking. Buy another screen. One corner is warm. Buy another powered device. The closet is full. Buy storage containers instead of owning less. A small inconvenience appears, and the shopping reflex immediately looks for a product. But many older Japanese objects come from a world where energy, space, and materials could not be treated as unlimited. So objects had to be clever. They folded, stacked, nested, wrapped, hung, shared several uses, fit into small spaces. This is not only aesthetic. Compactness changes the cost of living. Smaller things require less storage. Less storage can mean less furniture. Less furniture can make smaller rooms more comfortable. When you stop needing enormous amounts of storage, you may stop believing you need an enormous home just to hold your possessions. That is where a little folding fan begins pointing towards something much bigger. Good design does not always add. Often, good design removes. Remove the battery. Remove the cable. Remove unnecessary parts. Remove unnecessary size. Keep the function. That is why some of the most satisfying objects are almost invisible when they are not being used. They do not demand attention. They simply wait. And when needed, they work. Lesson 7. The real secret is not buying cheap. It is stopping the replacement cycle. Now look at all 9 objects again. The tenugui, the furoshiki, reusable chopsticks, the chopstick rest, a personal rice bowl, the bento box, the orishigane grater, the suribachi grinding bowl, the sensu folding fan. None of them will make you look rich. That may be their greatest advantage, because objects that exist mainly for function do not need to compete for attention. You do not need the newest tenugui. Nobody is waiting for the annual furoshiki upgrade. Your rice bowl does not become slower after 2 years. Your chopsticks do not receive an update telling you they are no longer supported. A ceramic chopstick rest does not care about trends. The object stays useful until something actually happens to it. That gives you freedom. Because one of the most expensive habits in modern life is not buying, it is replacing. Replacing because the color is old. Replacing because the trend changed. Replacing because you are bored. Replacing because an advertisement quietly convinced you that your perfectly functional item is now embarrassing. Replacing because shopping gives you a short burst of excitement. Japanese frugality, at its best, offers another way to think. Use the thing, learn the thing, maintain the thing. Let it age, and only when it can no longer do its job, think about what comes next. There is a beautiful side effect to this. Your possessions begin developing memory. That bowl has been in your kitchen for 7 years. Those chopsticks traveled with you to work hundreds of times. That lunchbox has carried thousands of meals. That cloth has been washed until it became softer. The object becomes less perfect but more familiar, and familiarity creates contentment. This matters because the modern economy is extremely good at selling novelty, but novelty has one weakness: it fades quickly. The excitement of a new object may disappear after a week. Then the object becomes normal. And if you are addicted to the feeling of new, normal will always disappoint you. But if you learn to enjoy familiarity, you become much harder to manipulate. You stop asking, "What is new?" and begin asking, "What still works?" That single question can change your finances. Before replacing something, give yourself a simple test. Does it still work? Can it be cleaned? Can it be repaired? Can I use it differently? Am I replacing a real problem or only replacing boredom? Sometimes you should absolutely replace something if it is unsafe, badly damaged, frustrating, or genuinely no longer useful. Keeping it forever makes no sense. This is not about becoming emotionally attached to broken junk. It is about removing automatic replacement from your lifestyle. There is a huge difference. Frugality should make life simpler, not miserable. A useful object deserves to stay. A useless object deserves to leave. But a useful object should not be pushed out of your home just because a newer object is asking to come in. And once you start thinking this way, you may discover something strange. You need fewer money-saving tricks, because spending less starts happening naturally. You stop rebuying things you could reuse. You stop buying specialized products when one flexible object can handle several tasks. You stop purchasing convenience every day because you made your food and drinks portable. You stop upgrading basic objects that were never broken. You stop filling storage with tools that solve problems you barely have. Your home slowly becomes lighter. Your shopping list becomes shorter. And your money stays with you longer. That may be the most useful Japanese lesson behind all 9 of these cheap objects. A low price is good, a long life is better. But the best combination is something inexpensive that quietly removes itself from your future shopping list. The next time you want to save money, do not begin by asking, "What cheap thing should I buy?" Ask something more powerful. "What can I buy once and then stop buying?" That question changes everything. Maybe for you, it is a reusable lunchbox, maybe a washable cloth, maybe personal cutlery, maybe a simple kitchen tool. Maybe you already own the answer, because living well for less is not always about having less comfort. Sometimes it is simply about getting more life from ordinary things. And that is what makes these small Japanese objects so interesting. They remind us that an item does not need to be expensive to deserve care. It does not need to be new to remain useful, and it does not need to impress anyone to quietly save you money for years. Before you buy something new this week, look around your home. Find one simple object that still works. Use it again. That small decision may be worth far more than it looks.